In this video, I will talk about sessions in the PHP programming language. Sessions allow me to track a person that browses from web page to web page on a website that I'm running. And the way that it goes about doing that is it places a cookie on the person's web browser. And they don't realize that's happening, but that's what's happening behind the scenes. To actually start a session, this is the source code for this video.php page. Before I print out any content, which would be starting at this doc type HTML, I would have to start the session. So anywhere above where I'm going to be printing out content for the web page, and I'll just do it up at the beginning here. I'll do a session underscore start, and that tells PHP to either begin a session or start a session if one hasn't been started yet, or resume an existing session. And the way that it knows if a session exists is it'll pull out this special cookie that it's placed on the person's web browser. So I'll save the file, refresh the web page, and it looks like nothing has happened. Well, actually, it's put a cookie out on the web browser, and on this onload handler, I'll place a JavaScript alert on document.cookie. I'll refresh the web page again, and it shows me that there's a cookie set called PHP SESS-ID, and that's the name of the cookie, and that's short for PHP session ID. And then its value is this strange string of letters and numbers, and you can think of it as a unique tracking number for that person. Since I'm running a web server on this same machine, on the web server side, it's actually placed a special session file on inside a particular directory on my computer, because I'm running the web server on this computer as well. So if I go out to C Windows temp, there's this file out here that's SESS underscore, and then there's this string of text which consists of letters and numbers, which happens to match this value. And this is called the session ID. Looking at the contents of this, there's nothing inside it, so the session contains no information. I'll just click OK. Now, some of the uses for the session is that one form of processing forms that people type in on the web is, for example, this is a comment form, and if I say that I'm Joe, and normally people would type in a comment, this test comment, and I would click on the publish button. But let's say, for example, I don't leave a comment. And usually what happens is it will display an error. Do you mean to level a comment? I meant to actually leave a comment here. And so what I would want to do in this situation is bring them back to the video.php page. One way of doing it is doing a header redirect, which I won't go over in this video, but I would want to populate the form, which you see it's populated right now, and that's because the web browser is caching that information. But from the web server side, it has no idea about any of this information on the form, because the web is, well, the HTTP protocol itself is said to be stateless, is that it doesn't retain any memory. The only thing it knows is that the only thing that it's aware of are the cookies that you have set and any form data that was submitted to that particular web page. That's the only real data you know about, and also any variables that you declare on the web page for the server side source code. Which are essentially some of these functions, but So I'll click on publish again, and it says, did you mean to leave a comment? What I can do on this publish comment page is I can resume the session using that session cookie that's on the person's web browser by doing a session_start. And just to temporarily save the form data that was submitted to me, I can do a $_session, all in uppercase. The session variable is a special variable called a super global variable. After I do session_start, session will be populated with data from the session, which it currently contains nothing right now. Typically, it's used as an associative array. An associative array maps strings to pieces of data. So I can create a form_data key, and I can set that equal to the information that was posted to me, and I can use another super global variable, $_post, which is the unfiltered data that was submitted to me. I'll refresh this web page again. And it looks like nothing has changed, but if I go back to my text editor here, it's detected that that session file has changed. And do you want to reload it? And I'm like, yes. And now we see this form data key with the handle of Joe that I typed in on the form with no comment. And this is actually an encoded form of the session. And there's actually a function that it calls internally called session_encode that actually creates this piece of data.